Okay.
So I'm joking.
I don't think you're joking either, man. Relax.
So if anyone wants to like...
All right. So the n's got to go over there. What happens to it? It becomes positive. N plus 2. Step 2, what do we got to do? What's in the way of this being solved? The radicals. How do I get rid of a radical? I square it, but I got to square both sides. Now, this side's easy. This side, I got to remember how to do binomial expansion. N squared plus 4n plus 4. Now what? Collect your like terms. N squared minus 2n, plus 4. N squared minus 2n. Now, when this comes over, it's going to be negative minus what? 15, right? Then simplify. N plus 3, n minus 5. And what does all that equal? 0. Now, this is the part that messes with kids' heads still. You don't understand why the answer is, what is the answer? Negative 3 or positive 5. You guys, not all of you, but some of you don't get why this is the case. I showed you 3 times yesterday. Does everybody understand why this is the case? Why there are 2 answers? No. Okay. So, let's come over here. For this to be true, this says, I'm going to call this guy A, I'm going to call this guy B. You cool with me? So this pink line says A times B equals 0, right? For this to be true, let's pretend A is 729. What would be the value of B to make this true? 0, because 729 times 0 equals 0. Cool? Cool? Let's say B is 312. What would that make A to keep this line true? 0, because 0 times 312 is 0. Are you okay? So if you understand that, now n plus 3 times n minus 5 equals 0. So either that guy B has to be 0 or A has to be 0, right? This is A, so n plus 3 would have to be 0. Or n minus 5 would have to be 0. Solve this, n equals negative 3. Solve this, n equals 5. Cool? Now, come back over to here. If n is negative 3, what is negative 3 plus 3? 0. And what is negative 3 minus 5? Negative 8. What is 0 times negative 8? 0. So does negative 3 work? Yes. Now if I do the same thing with positive 5, I'll get the same result. Are you cool? Now, why we have 2 answers, though, is because we squared right there. There might not be 2 answers, so I have to check it in the original equation. So, we'll do this one in green. What is negative 3? Positive 3 plus. What is 6 times negative 3? Negative 18. What is negative 18 plus 19? 1. What is the square root of 1? 1. Is 3 plus 1 2? No. So is this an answer that works? No. Does anybody remember what we call that? I don't know if I wrote it on your page at all. I didn't. This root that doesn't actually exist is called an extraneous root. Because it's extra. It doesn't work. Now let's check 5, and we'll check 5 with light green. What is negative 5? Negative 5 plus. What is 6 times 5? 30. What's 30 plus 19? 49. What is the square root of 49? 7. Is negative 5 plus 7 2? So this is the right answer. But we have to check one more thing. What do we know about that? What do we know about any value under a radical sign? It has to be 0 or greater, right? Now, I showed you guys on Friday, because it was Friday, I said it had to be greater than 0. But can't it also equal 0? What's the square root of 0? 0. So I actually should have put an equal sign there as well. I really apologize for that. My brain was in my butt. I was wearing my butt as a hat because it was Friday. I forgot that it could be 0. Then I just solved this. 6n has to be greater than or equal to negative 19. N has to be greater than or equal to negative 19 over 6, which is approximately negative 3, right? Is 5 greater than negative 3? So 5 is okay. Does everybody understand? All right. So that's where I asked you to stop, right? So let's turn the page over and let's try some significantly, not significantly more difficult. The first two are pretty normal. Then something weird happens in G. And then, of course, you will notice there's a lot of white space. What do we do with the white space? We find stuff that doesn't quite fit the pattern, okay? So why don't you all try, work together if you need to, just try E, okay? If you finish E, you can try F. Remember, we have to find the roots, check the roots, and check for restrictions, okay? Try them, work together, go as far as you can while I try and, while I just have a quick look in a book to pick up one that doesn't work very well, okay? Everybody cool with that? It'll just take me a second to find it. You go ahead on this. So the thing about radical equations is, at the very least, you can follow regular algebra, right? Your goal is to get the letter by itself. So there's a lot of math going on here, isn't there? Right? There's a lot going on here. So you need to work through and figure out where your issue is, right? So is everybody cool with the fact that we want to isolate the radical first? Because the radical is what's killing us, right? So we want to get rid of it. Is everybody cool with that? So we're going to get this thing by itself, which means this has to move, right? If I move that over there, what does it become? Plus 8. So now I have 5a minus 5 equals 5. Everybody's okay there, right? Everybody could move stuff around in algebra to get a radical by itself, yes? Everyone's a 5 out of 5 there, right? You don't have to agree out loud, just in your head, oh yeah, I got you, I know what you're saying. Everybody's cool? Okay. So again, we're trying to get the a by itself, and we don't like the radical. We already know from last unit we can get rid of a radical by squaring it, right? That's how we rationalize the denominator, yeah? Okay, so I square that side. That leaves me there, yeah? Okay, and we know from algebra, if I do anything to one side, what do I have to do to the other side? Same thing, or it won't be equal anymore, will it? Right? So I got to square this side. Everybody still okay? All right. So now this looks like a grade 8 algebra question, doesn't it? So let's do it. 5a equals, when that comes over, what does it become? Positive 5. What's 25 plus 5? And then our last step, a equals 6. Now, if this was the question, we know we're right, don't we? But was that yellow line the question? No. The question was the green line at the top, right? So if it was grade 8 or 9, we would take this 6 and we'd check it in the blue line, wouldn't we? Well, we wouldn't. Our teacher would say to check it, and you would all never check it, right? I mean, be honest, you never checked your work in grade 8. You just like, I got it. So here, let's check. What is 5 times 6? 30. What's 30 minus 5? What is the square root of 25? So I have negative 8 plus 5 equals negative 3. Is that true? Yes. So we have the right answer. Now, the only extra thing here is we have to make sure that anything under a radical sign is positive, because we can't have a square root of a negative number, right? So I have to check that 5a minus 5 is greater than or equal to 0. So 5a has to be greater than or equal to 5, and a must be greater than or equal to 1. Is 6 greater than 1? Yes, so we know we have the right answer. Is everybody cool? Okay? Now, most of you will jump straight in to this. You will go straight to there. But what if you do all this work and you find that your final answer doesn't work? It's not going to be allowed. Do you want to do all that work and find it not allowed? So, even though you will all forget to do it until the end, I like to check this at the very beginning. So at the very beginning, I know that negative 3m plus 10 must be greater than or equal to 0. Which means negative 3m must be greater than or equal to negative 10, correct? And m must be less than or equal to 10/3. Why did I flip the sign? Because I divided by a negative number. Okay? Now, in my head, that's a little bit more than 3, right? Because we hate fractions. So if my m is less than 3, am I going to be okay at the end? All right. So now let's go. What I have here, I have root negative 3m plus 10. Now, some of you will say, but Mr. Myers, there's a negative under the radical. What if m equaled negative 3? Then it would be a positive, right? What if m equaled positive 3? I'm still positive. What if m was positive 4? Then I'd have negative 12 plus 10, and that would still be negative, wouldn't it? Which is what we just proved over here. We can go up to 3 1/3, but we can't go to 4. Everybody good? Okay, so what's going to happen with this 4 now? I'm going to get m minus 4, because I'm going to bring that over. Right? Now, just normal. Get rid of the radical. Well, okay. Square it. Negative 3m plus 10 equals. Now, here is the next thing that you're going to mess up. Because you've got to remember, I'm squaring all of it. So it becomes that. Right? And now that is grade 10. FOIL, basically, right? M squared minus 4m minus 4m. I know the shortcut. I can just add them. Negative 8m. And 4 times 4, positive 16. Right? Everyone's still cool, yeah? We haven't done anything new. Now, I got too many m squareds. I don't really know what to do, but I know if I got like terms, I should put them together, shouldn't I? So I'm going to bring that over. I'm going to bring that over. M squared. What's negative 8? What's going to happen to that 3? Plus 3m to get negative 8 plus 3. Negative what? 5m. And that 10 is going to be what? Negative 16 minus 10? 6. Now that equals 0. Now here is the new thing. Because depending on who your grade 10 teacher was, he or she may have stopped here. But of course you would factor it, right? To be m minus 2 and m minus 3, right? Because you know to factor that. Now here is the new thing. Your grade 10 teacher probably, unless it was me, gave you that and said factor it, right? Well, the only difference now is now we've got it equals 0. And that was what we did right out here, right? This is saying that either m minus 2 equals 0, because if this is 0, then 0 times whatever this is 0, right? Or it's saying m minus 3 equals 0. Now, all of you are going to make the mistake because when you solve this, you get m equals 2. And when you solve this, you get m equals 3, right? You are all going to make the mistake of seeing, oh, negative 2, the answer was positive 2. Oh, negative 3, the answer was positive 3. All of you want to do that, don't you? So the problem with that is, what if you have this? Is that going to be negative 3 for an answer? No, it's not, is it? It's going to be 2x equals negative 3, and then x equals negative 3 over 2. You have to understand the algebra we did there. It isn't just this shortcut. Everybody good? So now we know our answers. M has to equal 2 or 3. Are both of those numbers less than 10/3? They are, right? So we've made it in our restrictions. So these are both possible answers, yes? So now let's check. What is negative 3 times 2? What is negative 6 plus 10? 4. What is the square root of 4? 2. So 4 plus 2 equals m. And I said m was 2, didn't I? Does 4 plus 2 equal 2? No. So is this a real answer? So what do we call it? Starts with an E, ends with an S, has extraneous, an extraneous root. Now let's check 3. What is negative 3 times 3? What? Negative 9. What is negative 9 plus 10? 1. What is the square root of 1? 1. 4 plus 1 equals what? M. What is M? 3. Does 4 plus 1 equal 3? No. Does this question have any answers? No. Does everybody understand? It's straight algebra that you all know how to do. The new thing is, do these numbers actually exist? And they do not. Let me show you what I mean. Where we are going with this, this would make a curve if we graphed it. These answers are where that curve crosses the x-axis. Do you see how this curve doesn't ever touch it? That is why there are no answers. Everybody understand? Now, if it went like this, how many answers are there? 2. And those 2 answers would be these. Everybody with me? Sometimes they go like this. And it never is negative, right? Like if I was throwing a ball in the air, could the ball ever go below 0? Would the ball ever be below the ground?
Really hard.
I'm not the Hulk. The ball would never be below the ground, would it? So this would only have one answer. Everybody with me? Okay. That's where we're going with it. But we're not there yet. All right, so this is the first of the weird ones. What's weird about G? Anthony. There's 2 radicals. Right? So we got to isolate them, don't we? Now again, your first reaction is probably, right? I mean, none of you made the noise. It only is funny because I made the noise, right? But be honest, a bunch of you look at that and you're just a tiny little bit gulp, right? So, but let me rewrite this. What if I gave you this? 3x plus 2 equaled 12. Could you get rid of that 3? You could distribute it. Let me tell you, what if I gave you that? What would you do with the 3? You would just do divided by 3, wouldn't you? So what can I do to get rid of that? Couldn't I divide by root x? And then they'd be gone, wouldn't they? What do I got to do to this side? Now equals 12 over root x. Yeah? It looks scary still, doesn't it? Right? But what are we going to do to get rid of this radical? I'm going to square it and get x minus 7, aren't I? What am I going to do to this side? Square it to get what? 12 squared, 144 over what? X. And look, everything took care of itself. Is it scary anymore? Does this x bother us? How do I get rid of divided by x? Multiply by x. What happens to that x and that x? Gone. 144. What do I got to do to this side? Multiply by x to get what? 7x equals 144, right? Can I do that question? What should I do with that? Minus 144 equals 0, correct? Now what do I need to do with that? Same thing I do with every trinomial I ever see in math class. Try to what? Factor. What are the factors of 144 that add to 7? Is it 1 and 144? Is it 2 and 72? It's not, right? Is it 3 and 44? No. 42. No. 4 and 4 doesn't work. 5 doesn't work. Is it 6 and 6 goes into that twice. 6 and 24. Is it 8 and 18? Is it 9 and 16? Yeah. So it is x plus what? 9 and now, is this one of those easy ones? So what is x? It's either what? Negative 9 or 16, yes? Now, I got to come up here and check it. What's the square root of negative 9? Is there such a thing? So what do we know automatically about 9? It's garbage. So now let's check 16. What's square root of 16? 4. What's 16 minus 7? 9. What's the square root of 9? Is 4 times 3, 12. So is this right? And my restrictions, x has to be greater than or equal to 0, because every negative kills us here, right? And x minus 7 has to be greater than or equal to 0, so x has to be greater than or equal to positive 7. Is 16 bigger than 7? So I'm okay. Now please notice, was there any new principle here? All we did was algebra that we already know, right? When you were taught 3x plus 2 equals 11, could your teacher have then, the very next day, done that? But they could have, couldn't they? Because your teacher taught you this by saying, do the opposite, yeah? Well, the only thing that's been added here is the opposite of square root. And we all know what the opposite of square root is. It's squaring. Now, where would we have gotten into trouble? Once we got to here, then you run out of the room crying in grade 7, right? Because no teacher's teaching you factoring. But you could have gotten to here after your literally almost your first algebra lesson, couldn't you? We could get you to there, right? So let's try it. I'm going to give you one that has 2 radicals again. Everybody ready? 7 plus the root of 3x equals the root of 5x plus 4 plus 5. Yeah, everybody who's just like, yeah, I see it. I write this out now. Oh no. Why, Myers? Why? Run it through your thought process. What bothers you here? No, Jacob. What bothers you here, really? What's the first thing that makes this yucky? What makes this not grade 6-able?
It's the fact that both sides have square roots.
Both sides have radicals. That's what bugs us, yes? So we should deal with one of these radicals, shouldn't we? Yeah. What should we deal with first? The complex one or the less complex one? The less complex one? Okay. I don't know why you would ever do that, but all right. Why wouldn't you do the more complicated one to get it out of the way? Okay, let's talk about it the different way, Jacob. If I deal with this one first, right? I'm going to free up one term, aren't I? I'm going to free up 3x. But if I free this one first, then I'm getting 2 for 1, aren't I? Because it's the same process to get rid of both, isn't it? I square it to get rid of it. So if I square these, I can get 2 for 1 here. Understand? So I'm sorry to step on your toes, because you know I normally like to let you guys do this by yourselves. But why would we get rid of the more complicated one first? Because it frees up now 2 terms to deal with, yes? So let's isolate this guy. What's got to happen here? I got to take 5 away, so I'm going to bring him over here, yeah? So what is the left side of my equation going to become now? 2 plus root 3x. Everyone agrees? And what does that equal? The root of 5x plus 4. How do I get rid of this? Square it. And that's the easy one, right? That's just going to get me 5x plus 4. Yeah? When I do this side, what do I got to do? I got to do FOIL, don't I? Yeah, but we'll go back and I'll show you what would happen if we did the easier one first. You won't have to write it down. Deal? Okay. So, what's 2 times 2? What's 2 times the root of 3x? 2 root 3x. And then another 2 root 3x, right? So plus 4 root 3x. And what's 3x times 3x? 9x squared, which is under a root, so it's just 3x, isn't it? Okay, equals 5x plus 4. Now, 4 equals 4. What do I get to do with them? Cancel. Right? Okay. What's going to happen with this 3? So now I've got 4 root 3x equals 2x, yes? Do I have an isolated radical? I could divide by 4, yes? But that would give me a fraction over here. Don't fractions scare you guys? So could I square this side and take care of that radical? Which would allow me to square this side, wouldn't it? So what is that going to give me over here? If I write it all out the long way, what should it give me? 16 root 9x squared, yes? What is the root of 9x squared? 3x. So that's coming out here, 3x. What's 3x times 16? 48x equals, what's 2x squared? 4x squared. Everybody cool? Now, when we get here, what have we done every single time? We've brought everything to one side, yes? So I'm going to have 4x squared minus 48x equals 0. We just did we're doing a whole unit on this right now. What should I do? Factor. When do I factor? Whenever I can. I got 4 factoring moves. Oh, I lie. I forgot we did difference of cubes this year, didn't we? I got 5 factoring moves I can try. What's the one I'm going to use here? GCF. What is it? X is definitely coming out. And a 4. Leaving me with X minus 48 divided by 4. It's not like 12. It is 12. And what does that equal? 0. Now, every one of you is going to say, answer's 12. Because they see this, right? Well, when it was x minus 16, we knew it was positive 16. So I see x minus 12, I know it's 12. But all of you, if you do that and think you're done, you're forgetting something, aren't you? What number are you forgetting? 0. Because what if x was 0? What's 4 times 0? 0. 0 times anything is what? So that's my answers now, yes? Can I check them? Sure I can. Here's the original question. If I use 0, what's the square root of 0? 7 plus 0 is 7, yes? What's 5 times 0? What's 0 plus 4? What's the square root of 4? What's 2 plus 5? Does 7 equal 7? So is 0 okay? What about 12? What's 3 times 12? What's the square root of 36? What's 7 plus 6? 13. Everybody cool? What's 5 times 12? Plus 4? Square root of 64? 8 plus 5? Does 13 equal 13? So we have 2 answers, yes? Is there anything else we need to check? Can x ever be a negative number? So x has to be bigger than 0. Are both those bigger than 0? Or equal to or bigger than 0? Okay, so we know we're okay there. What about here? If x is even negative 1, is that going to work? No. So I check. 5x plus 4 at greater than or equal to 0. 5x greater than or equal to negative 4. X less than or equal to Negative 4/5 would not be allowed. Are these bigger than 4/5? So are they okay? Are they okay? Yes, we're good. Is everybody good? Now, listen to me. I don't 100% believe you. It's nothing personal, but this is, again, it's not difficult, but it sure is complicated, right? What's the only way to beat complexity? Simplicity. How do we achieve simplicity? Technically, yes, if only it was the 1300s and we could get by with, mucking out pig stalls. Oh, of course, if we were mucking out pig stalls in the 1300s, we'd all have the Black Death, and I would already be dead at 44. You would be middle-aged. Is that what we want? No. It's a darn good thing schools were invented because it has allowed us to live to the ripe old age of 80. All right, so listen. You guys, you people all know, if you turn the page, what does it say? It says assignment, which means it's for marks. If you are at the point where you feel you are willing to put your money where your mouth is, like this will affect you, start page 68 or whatever page it is. Is it? Excellent. Put them in the Iron Maiden. Excellent. I've seen the movie too. Greatest movie ever made. Well, not really, but I did love it. I hear talk there's going to be a Bill and Ted 3 with actual Keanu Reeves, who is now almost 60, and Alex Winters, who must be almost 62, but nobody knows because the guy's barely done anything since Bill and Ted 1, which is kind of a lie because he's been directing. He just hasn't been acting. And a lot of people don't recognize that. If you are not quite ready to go on, there are 4 you can see building up to and a radical, 2 radicals. Okay? Let's say you're like, I got this. Easy, easy. Do you need to do them? No. You don't. If you know how to do 1 radical ones, skip them. What about this one with a fraction? Should we consider trying that? I would. What about this one with 2 radicals? I would. What about this one with 2 radicals, but both on the same side? Yes, Kyle. Scary face. Ashton at the movies in clown outfit. Scary face. Should we try it? Yes. Now, speaking of scary face, did you guys hear what happened in Florida this weekend? Florida is my favorite state. Do you know why? Because Florida has no laws about what you write in the newspaper. There is no privacy. There is you can do whatever you want in Florida. It is the Wild West. So that's why when you read the news, you always see idiots. Like you think Florida is a state of 70 million idiots. Because they're like, snake came out of toilet and bit man on ass in Miami Beach, right? Like, why does that happen? It doesn't, it's Florida. What the hell? So, are you ready? Some dude flew from Norway to Florida to surprise his father-in-law on his birthday. He knocked on the door, hid on the porch, jumped out at his father-in-law to say surprise, but never got past surprise because his father shot him. Because his father-in-law answers the door in the most civilized country in the world with a loaded and drawn weapon. Wait for it, it gets better. The police in Florida, rather than charge this person with homicide, because that's what he has just committed, have decided it's so sad. It's not his fault. Somebody jumped out at him on his property. No harm, no foul. You go ahead. We're not going to punish you for this. That's not the argument, Hina. The argument is, I should also mention, it was not a little 6-shooter. It was a semi-automatic. Now, I don't want to get into a gun control debate with you people, but I don't know about you, but I've answered the door sometimes, and sometimes I don't know the person who's there. I do not shoot them. One time, the police knocked on my door. Apparently, I would have been well within my rights to fire open the door and come out firing if I lived in Florida. So yes, once again, remember, guns don't kill people. People kill people.
Thank you.
I'm lying.
No.
Yes, Anthony. Dude flies from Norway, hides on my porch, jumps out at me, says, "Surprise, father-in-law," and I go, bang!
Yeah.
Is he dead?
Theoretically.
No, Anthony. Anthony.
No, I did.
Anthony.
Yes.
Bang! Are you dead? You're talking to me. Are you dead? Yes or no?
If you could aim.
No. I am saying the word bang. Are you dead? No. Now, if the thing that makes the bang noise is a gun, is there a chance you're dead? Guns kill people, Anthony. End of discussion. Because bang, you're fine. You will never convince me otherwise. So don't bother. Just like I'm never going to convince you. Do math. You will never convince me.
I'm not trying to convince you.
Good.
I'm following logic.
There is no logic.